What's up, everyone? This is Matt, that's Dan, that's Tim, and that is Dave down there in the corner, and you're watching Nerd Punch for Monday, September 14th, and we are finally recording our DragonCon video. We've been
remember
back...
that thing that happened like 2 months ago?
Shut up, it was like a week ago. So this is the first time that we've all been on at the same time since we got back last month. Well...
None of us got the con credit either. We just haven't had time to get on with everybody.
Right. I got back. Me and Tim got back. You guys got back like Monday night, right? You had to drive all the way up north.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this year, this was our, hold on, I got my badges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th year going, 6th year in a row. And to me, it was just as fun as all the rest of them. We saw all kinds of cool stuff. I didn't even see you guys for half the time. Because we usually split up and go our separate ways. Right, it's preferable. I even tried to get a separate room, but I couldn't afford it.
No, yeah, don't even try that. Whew.
Yeah, we usually alternate between the Marriott and the Hyatt, not by choice, just because that's how it kind of works out. And this year was the Marriott's turn, so lucky them because we were inside them. But we got there on Thursday, which I thought was pretty crowded for a Thursday. And, you know, they say that Thursday's the new Friday, so Wednesday's the new Thursday, and Monday's the new Tuesday, and orange is the new black, and who knows what.
The thing is, the 30's the new 20.
Yeah.
You know, this is crazy. They packages now for the hotels, they only sell them in 4 nights now. They don't do 3 nights anymore. So I think that's why you're seeing more on Thursday night. So they're selling 4-night packages instead of, they don't let you get them in 3s anymore. You have to buy 4 nights if it's a host hotel. Yep.
Well, because we noticed that the Pulse Bar on Thursday was packed for a Thursday. It was pretty crowded.
Well, now, at first it wasn't. As the night went on, when
you guys went downstairs.
Yeah, when we went down, it was pretty light there. And the funny thing was, I felt like the whole con didn't seem very crowded at all, except for in the Hyatt. Seemed like it was very crowded there, just on the bottom 2 floors. But this attendance was over 70,000.
Yeah, that's
which is more than last year, and it felt like it wasn't even near that. I felt like I could get around through the skywalks really easily. The food courts, I mean, I rarely stood in a very long line at all. I know we got bumped from a couple panels, but that was just because it's in the anime section and their rooms are a little small. So, you know, you have so many people going to the one specific thing at 8 o'clock.
Right.
You know, it's going to get you, if you don't get there early enough, you're going to get bumped. But I felt like I did a bunch. Saturday and Sunday, I don't think I saw you guys very often at all. I was at panels all day long, both of those days.
Yeah, and real quick, I wanted to mention the attendance because I wasn't sure. So last year it was 62,000, I think, and then this year this wasn't confirmed, but I'm looking at AJC.com, which is pretty official for anything in Atlanta, and yeah, it said 70,000, and I didn't think that it felt that way at all. Like, I actually I was thinking, is attendance down? Is there not as many people? Are people losing interest in DragonCon? Because getting around, except for the mob of people trying to get to the Aero panel on Saturday, which was ridiculous. Yeah. Other than that one instance, moving around this thing was way easier than it normally was. And you're right about the food court, didn't have to wait that long. Still getting a table down there was pretty
that's always going to be
I think that's good. What we normal, yeah,
it's just
I would like to say that it seemed like the lines were not managed at all. Like, I mean, it was almost like beginners were running the lines to get into the panels. However, like Dan was saying, the paths, you know, the walkways, the overpasses, everywhere you were supposed to be traveling, it seems like they were really managing those well.
Yeah.
And they were keeping people from stopping and taking pictures. They were keeping all that from happening at all.
Well, usually we have seen them handle lines really, really well. No matter how far back you were, you felt like it was secure and you were in a good spot, and you knew that to an extent, 99% of the time, no one's gonna jump your line because they had people watching.
Well, the only, I mean, we're complaining a little bit, but it's no Comic-Con, so you're not waiting 7 hours in a line to get a ticket to then have to wait again to get it. So it's nothing, it's nowhere near that bad. I mean, it could be a lot worse. This year was fine too, except for like I said, my only bad experience was the Aero panel on Saturday. I literally it was the worst I've ever seen at any DragonCon because it was shoulder to shoulder and like you were getting bumped around as people were like you literally couldn't move. So, and they took forever to swing the people around in the Marriott to go outside and then down the stairs. But whatever. We still got in. Yeah, it's to be expected with that many people, especially with a show as awesome as Arrow that everybody watches.
I've never heard of it. I don't really know.
You guys just don't.
I think I got a Razzie last year.
You guys just don't like good TV. So anyway,
like 8% on Rotten Tomatoes,
something like that. I don't know.
So yeah, I went to a bunch of stuff. I did spend most of the day on Saturday in line to get into the Flash panel, and then immediately after that to get into the Arrow panel. So that kind of cut into my panel time a little bit. We saw a couple cool things Saturday morning, and then I made up for it Saturday evening. But
so Saturday night, you definitely made up for it.
Me and Matt's adventure that morning. We went to see, I stayed a lot in video game and anime stuff, but we went to see Brawlhalla, the group that released that game and is still in closed beta, which was a great panel, and they were really happy to see everybody there for them.
Yeah, those guys from Blue Mammoth Games were awesome. I mean,
and one thing I can say about DragonCon, if you go to the early panels, it's a lot more comfortable. There's not a lot of people in the room. It feels like a conversation more than just panelists talking to you, and you can really get a lot of good questions in and talk to them. So they were happy because it was the morning of the parade, and they had a pretty good sized room there, and we ended up getting beta cases. But that's beside the point. We left there because we were going to go to the Westin to see some airship races, and
which would have been awesome.
Right. So we leave the Hilton and we walk all the way to the Westin, which is down a couple blocks, then up a couple blocks, and we get all the way up there. We can't cross the street because of the parade, so we're like, all right, we'll go to the Hyatt. We'll see some battles, some Batman fighting techniques or whatever we were going to go see. We get there, so we walk all the way from the Westin back down to the Hyatt. Get there, we're like, oh, you can't get in the panel. We're like, okay, well, you want to go back and check out this panel in the Hilton? And it's the room right across the room we had just left, but we just did a 9-block radius walk all the way around the place and still made it in, only like 5 or 10 minutes late for the panel.
That was a lot of walking that morning.
Yeah, it was. I did like getting up early, though. I got to admit, I liked getting up early because I could go get my coffee.
Yeah, Dan was like waking up early, getting coffee. He was the first in the shower, first out the door, walking around.
Well, I mean, Saturday I hit like 8 panels. So I think I went every hour and a half a panel was going. I went every one for that day, except for maybe a break to eat dinner, I think, at one point. But that's okay. That was fun. But anyways, go ahead. You were saying.
Well, should we start with that was Saturday. Let's not forget that there was a whole day of stuff Friday.
I don't even remember okay, so Friday we saw all the guys from Game of Thrones. So we had Sir Loras, and you had Hodor, and you had Maester Pycelle. I don't know their real names, so that's why I'm using their Game of Thrones names. They were hilarious. They were a lot of fun, and it was super fun watching those guys up there. So that was a very good panel. I can't remember the other panels I went to that day.
Well, so I saw the first one I went to of the whole con Friday morning was an Arrow fan panel, that's what's great about DragonCon is I freaking love the fan panels. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's cool to go to the ones with all the celebrities, like the Arrow panel, Flash panel. Those things were awesome with the celebrities. But I just love the fan panels. I love getting in a room and just sitting down with a bunch of people who are into the same thing that you are, and talking about something for an hour. Yep. It's like, hey, what did you think about Arrow Season 3? Well, I thought it wasn't as great. Well, what about this and what about that? And you just have this big conversation about the thing that you're in, and I don't know of too many other conventions that have those.
Yeah, there were some good ones. I went to a Game of Thrones one on. I think you were there. Somebody was there with me.
I didn't go to a Game of Thrones.
The Essos.
Did Aaron go with you?
That was probably Aaron. That's right, because I was beating him up in the seat.
Yep.
So yeah, it was Aaron and myself, and we went to the Game of Thrones one, and that was really fun. I went to a cool one I'd never gone to before, which was the G.I. Joe vs. He-Man panel. I don't know if any of you guys, Tim, you went with me on that, I think. And everybody got to pick 8 G.I. Joe guys and 8 He-Man characters that battled it out in a bracket, and the audience chose who won the fights all the way through to the end, which was actually a lot of fun. It was a cool little panel, even though I disagree with a lot of stuff that was chosen. All G.I. Joe characters should have won.
No, G.I. Joe can't beat He-Man?
Yeah, they can, because they're awesome. They're G.I. Joe. Get out of town. Go America.
Have you ever seen
Go
He-Man
America.
Figure? Have you ever seen a He-Man figure and a G.I. Joe character?
Right. Yeah, and that body style is not true, right?
Accurate.
Yeah, okay. And I'm tired of toys putting a
slightly
false,
exaggerated.
body for males to live up to.
That's right. It's a lot of pressure.
It is. So take that, Barbie. We can't live up to He-Man.
It is a lot of pressure. I mean, I was able to do it, but lots of guys can't, and
He's got like an 18-pack.
I really do.
He's got so many abs. It's crazy. He's got abs on his abs.
I've got abs on my abs. Each of my abs has 4 abs. Each of my abs has a 6-pack. I had to grab the old my phone to get this because I couldn't remember what I saw.
Let's see. I can talk. I did a lot of anime stuff this time.
You did, man. You and Aaron were all about the anime.
We were all
stuff.
about some anime stuff. Saw like 3 panels by Funimation. We saw multiple panels. Like I don't know who went with me to the Beatdown Brawls. I think it was Aaron and Matt, which was they showed just different fights between some of the bigger fights in anime and the battles that went on in there, which was really funny and a lot of fun.
Dave and I saw the 30th anniversary of the Goonies.
That's true.
So that was a good fan panel. It wasn't.
Dave was a little upset with that one. I think.
Well, I wasn't there. Yeah, I didn't love it. There wasn't enough audience interaction. I don't think. Which that's what's great about the fan panels is, the hosts kind of sparked the conversation, but then they put it out. Hey, okay, so now who thought this and what do you think about that? There wasn't a whole lot of audience interaction on that one. So
except for the guy that was in the front that kept saying, he kept throwing out it's like, did you watch what movie you're talking? No, there was not Tron in this.
Michael J. Fox was in Goonies. You don't even know. Okay,
that would have been cool. But it was still fun. It was still fun to reminisce about the Goonies because who doesn't love the Goonies?
So, I mean, the cool thing about DragonCon 10, if you stay in a host hotel, is that you can watch a lot of the replays of the panels in the room.
Closed circuit TV.
Yeah, so they have their own channels set up, which was cool because we watched the costume contests from in there.
Yeah.
I know Tim saw a lot of panels from up there.
Right. That's where I saw every panel I watched, just about.
Well, you went to the G.I. Joe He-Man, and then you went to a Funimation with me and Aaron.
Yeah.
You went to the
Game actually.
You went
to you're right.
Game of Thrones actors.
Yep.
I know one that Tim went to. That we all went to. This panel that we went to, it was on Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
It was probably the panelists were very well spoken, very knowledgeable, very very pleasant, very very. They handled themselves very well, but it was probably my least favorite panel in 6 years of going to DragonCon, just because. And it's not that you have to have even a mix of male and female panels. It didn't have anything to do with that at all. It's just you can have whatever gender shouldn't matter. In this panel, they kind of did. I felt like they did make it matter, and that wasn't really the intention of this one particular panel. It was about adult themes in genre shows, but it shouldn't have had anything to do with gender at all. But they turned it into a gender thing.
You had a lot of women who were part of a feminist podcast, things like that. And please don't take this as we're attacking this panel or feminists in any way. We're just giving our opinion of what we thought of the panel, and we think it concentrated too much on one specific thing when it should have been a broader talk about a lot of stuff. I mean, Daredevil was brought up a couple times, and it was just brushed off because it was talked about in a different panel. Well, we weren't at that other panel. So we would like to have heard the opinions of what they thought of Daredevil with its violent nature coming to Netflix and its mature themes as well. That's the things that bugs me.
Yeah, and that was something that was weird too, because we spent a lot of time talking about Game of Thrones, and especially the episode 6 of this past season with Sansa at the end. We have a video on our YouTube channel about that as well. But we spent a lot of time on that because that was a really controversial episode. But at one point, we were told to move on from that. But I was thinking, well, but we're having a conversation about it. Like, why do we need to move on from this if we're still actively talking about it?
I'm with you. Yeah, it could have been talked about some more, but I think the same things were happening there within that talk. It was, you had a couple panelists who were completely against what was said and said it wasn't a plot device. You had one panelist who is more of an equalist type person who was up there, and she was kind of taking Matt's, took Matt's side. Another lady up in the front row had said the same thing, that the rape was to create a plot device and create character and things like that, and that's why it was there. There were people disagreeing with the panelists, and it was just kind of the same thing being said back and forth, and I think that's why the track track director was just kind of like, let's
on,
move on. We need to get off this topic, because there was a gentleman that got up and said some things as well that wasn't very friendly to the whole crowd, and
yeah,
and so everybody was kind of groaned a little bit, like, okay, yeah, this is getting a little too heated. We want to keep this fun. But even when it did go away from that, it seemed to go back to that.
But there was a point brought up by one of the panelists that stated that Riker from Star Trek: The Next Generation was revered for all the women he gets. And Dan brought up a good point. Well, it's not so it's that, and not the fact that he's a great commander and a great second-hand guy, and he can make all these strategic decisions and.
Right.
They were focused on him being a womanizer, which I didn't watch. I mean, I watched The Next Generation on and off for years. I'm definitely not an expert, but I thought that was a little bit. I was like, that wasn't him. I mean, sure, that was.
That doesn't sum him up.
Yeah, exactly. That's not like it's not. That wasn't him. That wasn't his character.
He was revered for being a tactician and for being a great leader in times of stress. And that's what you want. And it's the same for Kirk and stuff like that from the original Star Trek series. Yes, there were a lot of scenes of him hitting on and sleeping with alien women. It just happened in his latest man, but it's also he's a good captain and he knows how to run his ship. And I think they were concentrating more on one thing or the other.
So Friday, the Stephen Amell panel, which was awesome. He
was awesome. I saw it on TV.
Yeah, you did. He was going to be here a couple years ago, had to cancel. So this is the first time. Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen on Arrow, which is one of my favorite shows in many years. So he had a whole panel dedicated to him on Friday before all the Arrow stuff, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And that was a lot of fun, and it was super cool because the Arrow Season 4 trailer premiered on the internet at 6 o'clock, but he brought it and showed it to us in the panel at 5:30, so we got to see it first. That was just a nerdy thing for me to enjoy. Especially, I was like, oh, this must be what the guys at Comic-Con feel like, because they get to see the stuff first, even though the thing that we saw first was seen by the entire rest of the world 30 minutes later. So it wasn't, but it was still cool. It was still cool, and that panel was just a ton of fun. Stephen Amell's awesome. Robbie Amell, his cousin, showed up. Plays Firestorm on The Flash. He's done some other stuff too, so that was really cool.
Yeah, they're both really cool guys, and they played off each other well, and it was just a good conversation. You felt like they were family. It was a good panel.
And then Friday night, I don't remember what we did. There was the costume contest. I think we watched that for a while.
I think there was drinking involved.
There was alcohol involved.
And I think
there may or may not have been drinking involved. Yeah, there
Friday night. Yeah.
I'm looking at the schedule here.
I just said that because there was drinking involved.
There was drinking involved every night, right? But then, so Saturday, obviously, we talked a little bit about that.
I mainly stuck to video games and anime.
Yeah.
That was kind of all I did was video games and anime stuff, which is what I love.
I went and saw the X-Files panel after me and
Matt
got out of the Goonies panel.
Yeah.
That's the panel where I had to run across the skywalk that was full of the Felicia Day people. That was good. It didn't have like David Duchovny or any of the main screen actors, but it did have Krychek and the guy that played Deep Throat, who was actually played David Duchovny's dad in the series. They were in there. That was really good, just talking about the old episodes of X-Files and stuff like that. Then I went and saw Terry Jones.
She was awesome.
No, Terry Farrell.
Oh, okay.
Terry Farrell was that panel that me and you watched in there on the TV. That was freaking funny.
Yep.
It was so funny. Yeah, I didn't do too many panels either this year, but
yeah, we
after being in bed with pneumonia the entire time last
Yeah,
year.
that legit happened. Dave got pneumonia at DragonCon right when we got there last year, so he was laid up in bed the entire time.
Slacker.
Right, I know. I mean, man up, right?
Tough it out, man.
It's
$400 to lay in bed all weekend,
But Dan and I, and the four of us plus another one of our buddies, Aaron, went with us, but he couldn't be with us tonight. But we saw some cool anime stuff. So Dan, myself, and Aaron saw an anime versus live action panel, and then right after that was the anime back alley beatdowns. Those were two hilarious panels. They showed.
So what was the live action? What I was going to ask, what was
just live action movies that are made after anime So
Oh,
the
the
anime
Or
becomes popular, and they make a movie
Okay.
on the anime.
movies or TV shows. So they just
Yeah,
showed
and
us.
it's Japanese made. It's not like
Oh,
American
okay.
made shows or anything like that. It's
So
all
they
Japanese made.
yeah, and they would show some that where the anime was good and the live action wasn't, or vice versa, or things like that. Just and it was a lot of stuff admittedly that I hadn't heard of. Seems like a lot of shoujo kind of shows, a lot of romance and slice of life.
Just a little bit. I mean, you had Attack on Titan, you had Bright
Right.
Come on,
Butler,
Matt. You're all about the romantic.
stuff like that. There were some.
anime.
It was funny when certain anime would pop up. I'd be like, "What? There's a live action in
Right.
this?" Or my favorite part in that whole thing was when they were playing the theme song from Attack on Titan. I love that theme song. And then the beatdown, back alley beatdowns, was just a couple guys who have a YouTube channel, and they just take a fight and comment on it during the whole thing. But they did a good job. It was really funny, and they would stop in between it and have a talk about, what's your favorite anime. And the cool thing is they were very interactive with the crowd. They'd be like, all right, guys, what's the best sentimental moment within anime that gave you the feels? Or the next would be, what's your favorite fighting anime? What's the best fights that you can think of and stuff
Right.
like that. And then a lot of good stuff. The only problem we had in that one was there was a very drunk man sitting behind us.
That was yeah.
Oh,
And he
jeez.
was a little annoying through the whole thing.
And I
But
hate that
yeah.
I can't remember the guys. Slander.
I forget who it was.
Was it
He looked
Slander?
yapping again.
Slander Productions or something like that on YouTube. And I really hate
But
it
it
for
was-
those guys that I can't remember who it,
It was
who
a
it
very
because
fun panel.
They were
though.
great.
They did a great job. It was super fun. And one of those guys was the first time at DragonCon. Everybody at the Game of Thrones actors panel, they were brand new to DragonCon, and they loved it. The common thread that came from every panel I went from new people like, I guess at DragonCon you're not supposed to wear pants because it seems like everybody's in their underwear
Right.
all the time. Like, yeah, they're drunk. It happened. There was one panel I did go to, which the Rift Track guys. I finally got to go see it, and what they did was each of them played a clip from a specific movie that is hated, and they have to. It's a movie that's terrible that they have to fight for to prove that it is a good movie and give
nice.
their meaning on the other Rift
That's
Trackers rip on the movie as it's
That
being
would have been
played.
good.
And it was actually a lot of fun. And it was the doctor and Frank and Bill Corbett who did Crow. Those three guys that were all there. And then they had one of the guys, Peralta, I think it is, come in, and he drew sketches of a scene from the movie and what was happening, and then he would show it to the audience and stuff like that. But it was really, really cool. So they would show like the professor from Mystery Science Theater, the evil doctor. His was Prometheus, and he had to defend Prometheus. And the next one was an Ed Wood film, and Bill Corbett was Anaconda, and they kind of defended what they really liked about the movie, and then the other two just tore into him like that. No, that's stupid. You're wrong.
funny.
This is why. And then they would show like a really good clip. He would pick a good clip, and then the others would pick like crappy clips, and then they riff on it right there in the audience. So it was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that Terry Jones panel that I went to, he reenacted two scenes from Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Nice.
And he brought up, it was funny because he asked the audience for assistance, and he you hear two guys, hey, over here, and everybody kind of turned and looked, and it was Scott Adsit and Bill Corbett, and they came up and they reenacted two scenes, and that was the best. That was listening to him read his characters in Monty Python was classic.
Very cool.
Now, Sunday morning, I went to the Classic Sci-Fi Roll Panel, the American Sci-Fi Classics track. This one was great because it was, and I'm actually looking at the description, a random roll of a 20-sided die determines this lightning round of mini panels about classic sci-fi we didn't have time to cover. So
Yeah, that would have been cool.
it really was. I mean, they had this big 20-sided die. It was probably about that big that they had made, and each side had a picture of a classic sci-fi movie. Not really even sci-fi. Like there was Teen Wolf, the original, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, stuff, Waterworld, stuff like that. And every so often they would have somebody from the audience roll the thing, whichever movie came up, they would talk about it for like 5 minutes or so. And so there were like a bunch of mini panels, and we probably got through maybe 6 or 7 different movies. I mean, and And that room was packed too. Like that. I mean, that was there was a lot of people that like that. And
the Sci-Fi Classic panel, man,
Yeah.
it's becoming cooler and cooler.
that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that because we got to talk about a lot of different stuff. Even though it wasn't that long, we got to talk about a lot of stuff that I really liked. And then sticking with that track later on in the afternoon, I went to the Stump the Geeks panel, which was really fun. It was basically like a trivia panel, and they would ask questions trying to stump the audience. And they had these 2 bottles of cologne with pictures of the Incredible Hulk on them. And apparently they said they'd had them for years. At some point somebody released Incredible Hulk cologne, and so the thing was, if you were called or if you volunteered to answer a geek related question and you got it wrong, you got sprayed with the Hulk cologne because it doesn't, supposedly didn't smell great, and it didn't smell bad. It was just like one of those like cheap cologne. You know how cheap cologne just is real like kind of pungent and strong, and it's like, what the hell?
So like how you smell all the time.
Pretty much. I mean, but with less musk and manliness to it. But I got one wrong. They called on me.
They hosed you down with it.
Nobody was volunteering for an answer, and I was trying to totally look inconspicuous by just looking around the room. And unfortunately, I was sitting right in eye shot of one of the panelists, so I got picked, and I got it wrong, and I got sprayed. But it didn't. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't that horrible. But that was a really fun panel too. Another packed house for the American Sci-Fi Classics track. So good job to those guys for just having cool content. I freaking love that stuff. Like I said, them and American Sci-Fi and Fantasy Media, those 2 tracks, hands down. I could spend almost the entire. If I didn't care about seeing celebrities for my favorite shows, like going to see Arrow and Flash, stuff like that, I would spend the entire con in their track, in those 2 rooms in the Marriott, 301, 302, 303, and 304. There's just cool stuff in there all weekend. That's the other thing. So the anime track, a lot of the anime panels we went to were really funny too. So in regards to just fan panels and stuff, the anime panels we went to were a lot of fun, lots of laughs in that one. And then, of course, American Sci-Fi Classics, Sci-Fi Fantasy Media, those ones were good too. Those are probably the most fun of all the ones, like the most. And of course, the celebrity panels, the Flash one was hilarious. The Arrow panel was great. Stephen Amell's panel was really, really fun and entertaining. But those ones, I try to separate them, because obviously the ones with the celebrities from your shows, I mean, obviously you're going to go into that really hyped up because you're excited to see those folks from the thing that you like. So I try to keep those separate from the other ones that just volunteers do. People just volunteer to run these things. So those ones are extra special because people volunteer to do it, and they still are just super fun, super awesome, really enjoyable.
Yep.
And then, of course, Sunday night, Geek Trivia. Returning champions, this
Matt
guy
totally
and that guy.
jinxed us. Matt totally ruined us with the karma, because the whole time he's in the room, last chance champions, hey, everybody, if you want to win a team, come to us.
I had to put people on notice that we were the reigning champs.
You killed us with karma.
That backfired.
Yeah, it totally backfired with that
Made you
kind of
look like
confidence.
douches.
Nice
Well,
work.
and we're the reigning champ. We were the reigning champs.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the team that we were on. Me and Dan didn't really contribute a whole lot to
We
being
get
champs.
like 5 of the 80 or 90 questions right. We kind of throw our input in on. Rest of them go for the rest of the team.
We were there for moral support for the rest of our team who actually knew everything. But this year,
section, we could kill it on the sports section every time we've done really well, and
we
I'll
did well in
get a
sports.
few on some other ones on the geek trivia or the geography stuff. But
Matt needs to go back to his comic book.
Yeah, but this year, so the cool thing about
so good there.
the cool thing about the Geek Trivia this year was that it was I would say it was twice as big as last year.
Oh yeah,
it's you pay to get in, and it all goes to charity, which is super awesome. A DragonCon match
they raised $1,300 that night
just
while
from
we
that
were
one
there.
event. Yeah, so that was really fun.
I read something that said they raised $100,000.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they as long as they raise 50,000 from the fans, DragonCon matches up to 50,000.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
and it was all for lymphoma. Yeah, so I mean, everybody paid to be in there, but then they were like, "We're at this mark. Do you think we can get a little bit better?" And then everybody just started throwing money at them,
Yeah.
and gained another $300.
Well, it's cool because we were when they first did the rounds, they raised 937 or 73. Like it was a little under $1,000, and they said, "Do you think we can get to 1,000?" And by the time so everybody's like, "Yeah, sure." And by the time they made the second round, they had raised 1,300. So that was really cool to chip in like that. But then, so the Geek Trivia, it lasted like 2.5 or 3 hours or something like that. It's a room full.
They had to cancel 2 of the pages that we couldn't do them because
2 of the categories.
Yeah, it was running behind. So we only did 8 categories, and of course the 2 homework assignments.
Right, but that was so much fun.
Homework
We actually,
assignments.
Yeah, they have a word kind of thing where you have to pick out the phrase of what the look of the picture and the word is set up as, and pick out what that phrase means. Like a happy ending is like happy with an arrow pointing at the Y, so it's happy ending.
which I think they should have just put a
7
picture
Up,
of like
just
a massage parlor,
or like they
and I would have just guessed happy ending.
They had hands going up, so it's hands up.
Or they had 7 up, 7
up.
of the word up, so you 7 up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
the other one was all pictures of different video games, and you had to go by picture and name what game that showed up in.
But it wasn't
Let's
like the
deal
full
with
box.
this
It was just like a little piece of of the box art or something like that. So
We
that
did
was
really
fun.
well on that one. We only missed 2 on that sheet. And then the other, I think we missed like 2 or 3.
But it was really cool. So you go in. It was just me and Dan. We actually ran into 2 of the guys that we were on the team with last year. So we re-teamed with them. We're getting the band back together, and we got with some new folks. And it was a lot of fun because you meet new people and you're really interacting in like a team environment. But we wound up like in 6th this time. So
We were in 3rd going into the final question.
yeah.
And then, I don't want to say it, but comic book question. And
Listen.
somebody claims no comic books, and things kind of
Never get any comic questions right.
Damn it, Wagner.
Just had to throw that out there for the podcast.
It was trick questions.
Anyways.
Nobody in the room got it right except for one team.
Right.
So but
Yeah,
another
it's just
successful DragonCon, 6th year in a row, totally awesome. We hope to go for 60 more. We'll be the old guys at DragonCon, just like we turn into the old guys at AWA. But
We have our walkers, and we're going to our American movie classics, and now it's like freaking,
And I'll
Mad Max.
still be saying, boys, I'm going to watch it in the room.
Yeah.
That's
I'll try
right.
later.
Yeah, won't be any more. Hey, we'll take the stairs. Like, no, we're all going on the elevator.
Fireball.
well,
By that time, hopefully, we'll all be rich because we've thought of some crazy internet scheme that has made us rich.
Well,
and
Nerdpunch will
live
have
in-
blown
we'll
up
stay
by
in this-
then.
Yeah, we'll be in the suite section, so we have our
right.
own elevators. And,
well, by then there'll be a Nerd Punch panel.
yes.
And it'll be us talking about how we got started, how we made money. Well, and the American Sci-Fi Classics track put it best in one panel where they said, we are the they were talking about American sci-fi and fantasy media, and they said, we are their future because the shows they have now are the shows that we will end up getting when they become classics, when they go off air for a few years. And so hopefully we'll all still be going to DragonCon when Arrow is now in the American Sci-Fi Classics panel. But yeah, so totally awesome. Best time of the year. Totally worth all the, everything you have to do to get through it. So,
It's totally worth going. If you've never gone, please go.
please go.
You'll love it.
It is awesome. And the great thing is, and we say it all the time, there is something there. If you've never been, there is something there for everyone. So if you are not into TV shows at all, but you love science, there's a whole science track. If you love Doctor Who, there's a whole Doctor Who track there. If you love space,
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, there's
there's
a
nothing
whole-
but Battlestar Galactica.
yeah, you can do
If
space.
you love just conspiracy theories, there's a whole section just
if
on
you
that.
if you're a doomsday planner, there's a whole track about
Yes.
the apocalypse. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally. And that word's thrown around a lot, but there is literally
Literally.
something for everybody, no matter what you're into. If you're just into book reading, good old fashioned book reading, there's a
We've
track
talked
for
about
you.
it before. Anything you geek out about, they probably
It's
have
there.
it at DragonCon.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to check out other videos, either that we already have or that we're going to post, subscribe by clicking the button below. Of course, it's youtube.com/nerdpunch. You can follow along with us on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, all of those /nerdpunch. And, of course, there's nerdpunch.com, where we post all the other cool stuff we're looking at online, and we have our schedule of upcoming videos there. So be sure to check that out. But, again, thanks for watching, guys. And,
Do the slow-mo wave.
I don't Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye.